For those of you watching this at home, this is going to be interesting. My iPad stopped working, so now I'm having to use my phone, but it's a temporary phone with a cracked screen, so if you're watching it right in this area, it looks like God's light is shining on you because it's all weird. But anyway, let's find out what happens. From here, book report due in 3 days. Turned in next week. If you were not here today, I do have your shirt because the Hero shirts came in. If you tally them over there, you just can't see the video. And we're going to talk about the ISTEP schedule coming up next week. Tie game. I forgot to mention that. We're going to be having one to the tie game here this week, which was Polar Bears, and they were in my Frigidaire. And that was no one because there was not circles on all of them, so you were out of
eyes.
Yeah, no. And even though one had eyeballs, it was a black squinty shape, so it's not even a circle, but a good try. Next week, we have ISTEP beginning for us. And so for English, we're going to be in my room for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We are going to be in the computer lab Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday is a normal schedule. The only difference being is that instead of coming here, we're going to the computer lab E101, which is where the 3 computer labs are. It's the computer lab on the left. That's when we'll be on Monday. The Monday's test is the shorter one. It's only about a 30-minute one where you're going to have to read a story, and then you're going to have to do the short answers to go along with it, like we practiced yesterday, where it's going to be a 2, 3, 4 sentence answer, and you'll probably have a couple of questions along those lines. That's Mondays. Schedule goes normal, but we just want to have English. When we have English, it's just ISTEP instead. Tuesday, Wednesday, it gets a little funky. Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to have a block schedule, which means on Tuesday, we only have class periods 1, 3, 5, and 7, and on Wednesday, 2, 4, 5, and 6, which means you will not see me at all on Tuesday because you're not meeting with class periods 2, 4, and 6 on that day. This is period 6 for you guys. At home, it's a little bit different than what class periods you have, but you have to figure out what day it's going to be. So if you're in my class period 1, 3, 5, or 7, you're going to be taking the test on Tuesday. If you're in my class period 2, 4, or 6, you're going to be taking the test on Wednesday. This will still be in Computer Lab E101, the computer lab on the left. This is the longer test, the hour-and-a-half length test. You will have time to work on your book report during that time. So if after we get done with the test, because it might not take you the entire time, I will have colored pencils, I will have handouts and sheets like that. You're more than welcome to work on the book report when you get done if you want, or if you want to bring in other homework or bring a book to read or something along those lines, that's fine with me. Thursday, Friday, we are back to actual Greek mythology, and I can start teaching again and all that fun stuff. There is another block schedule the week after that, because 8th graders have to then take it. So when the 8th graders have to take it, we go back to a block schedule. I think it's Monday, Tuesday of that next week. The good news there is you do get to have my class on that day, but for the most part, we don't have English after today until next Thursday, because we're not going to really have English on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday because of ISTEP testing, and then we'll deal with stuff from there. If you want to take a picture of this, you can, but realize I will be sending it out on a Remind, so if you just want to wait and see it on there, that's fine with me too, but I'm happy either way to try and help you moving forward. Sandy.
Why do we have 5th period on both days?
5th period you have both days because, one, the 5th period is shorter, but it's because you have lunch. Whereas, 1, 3, and 7 on that first day, your class periods are twice as long, or an hour and a half, or just over. And then 5th period is normal length because of the whole wanting to have lunch. And because 5th period is lunch, that's why you have it both days as opposed to shifting it to a different day. So it's shorter, but 2 days. Seth.
Is the reason why the background white because ISTEP is like evil background?
Grady.
Is the essay test on your iPad?
Everything is going to be done on the computer.
Okay.
Yep. Computer for all of it. Okay, on there. Swanson, I see your desk has moved back again. Yeah, I feel the same way. Now, back to Greek mythology to help you out from there. We're going to do a quick rewind and then sort of push through it again just to sort of make sure for those kids who are confused, in case we missed part of it, we're going to try and help you out. With this one, way back in Greek mythology, in the very beginning, the first thing to exist was...
Pudding!
The pudding has a name. That's where the chocolate pudding comes in. Pudding separates and forms the first 2 gods, which are...
Gaia and Uranus!
Did you want to cycle that?
Gia and Uranus.
Yes.
Is that why life is so chaotic?
So now we have Gaia and Uranus. Gaia, or Gaia, also known as...
Father's God.
Uranus as Father's God. They decide to have the very first babies ever. And the first babies are
The 100-handed
I will refer to them as the big ugly monsters, or the 100-handed monsters, or the 50-headed monsters. How many of them were there?
3.
There were a total of 3 of them. And the problem with the 100-handed monsters was what?
Ugly.
So what happens when Father Sky sees them?
Tartarus.
So what does he do with them?
tartar sauce.
You were just a little early. And throws them down to the pit of Tartarus to get
He
rid of
chucks
them.
them into the hole.
Then we get to the second set of children. And the second set are? How many of them are there?
3.
What gender are they?
Male.
That's going to play a role later on. So the 3 sides. How many eyeballs do all of them have combined?
One.
Great question. 3 eyeballs all combined together.
Brick mouth.
Who is bigger, Cyclops or monsters?
Monsters.
Monsters are going to be bigger. With the Cyclops, what problem does Father Sky have with them? That is their special superpower. They can make super stabby things out of the metal and stuff like that. So what does Father Sky do with them?
Hey guys.
Push them into the pit of Tartarus
It's a
also.
fun game.
Then we get into our third set of children, and the third set is? How many are there?
12.
And we've invented a new type of child now called?
Female.
That's
Which is like boy 2.0. It's like boy, but with like brain installed. How many girls are there?
6.
How many boys?
6.
Good use of math skills. And so we're a total of 12. Who's bigger, Titan or Cyclops? Cyclops is bigger on that one too, so the Titans are going to be even smaller. The 12 of them are born. Does Father Sky have any problems with them?
No.
He's happy with them. Things seem to be going well. Let's see. They're running around. Ooh, they decide to create a way to worship Mommy and Daddy. And the way they build a palace. And where's the palace?
on a mountain.
How many thrones?
12.
1 for each one of them. There are a total of 12 thrones. Braden, can you grab that marker for me and put it back up for some scripture? Thank you.
Mr. Broviak,
That one down.
Tartarus.
Yes.
Right. And so with that, we now have all of these 12 Titans running around. Everybody's getting along. Things are happy. Till Mother Earth decides she wants to have grandbabies. And so she goes and talks to the 6 male Titans again and says, hey, I would love to have some little grandbabies. It require you to get married. So who do they have to marry?
Sisters.
That's when they have to marry their sisters. And then we start making all these little grandbabies and then great-grandbabies. Once again, life is wonderful. Father Sky is happy. Titans are happy. Baby grand Titans are happy. Mother Earth, not so happy. Why Mother Earth not happy? She says, even though you have ugly babies and stabby babies and stabby babies have to have lives too. So she wants to have them back. Father Sky is standing in the way. So she decides that she's going to take care of this problem. The only way to take care of this problem is to take care of Father Sky. So this is roughly about the part we started getting to, where she decides, to get rid of Father Sky and creates the very first murder. So she starts talking to each one of her sons, trying to see which one will volunteer to do it, and finally finds one that says he is willing to agree, and that son is?
Kronos.
Kronos goes, I will absolutely agree to kill Father. She goes, alright. Well, when you kill him, here's the thing. You have to free your brothers. He goes, my brothers? They're just down the street. She goes, not those brothers. You have other brothers. You have older brothers who are trapped in this pit called Tartarus. You're going to have to release them also. He's like, oh, that's awesome. I'd love to release my older brothers. Why would I not? So he completely agrees to it. So he goes, well, when should I do it? She goes, you're going to do it when Father Sky comes down to give me a hug. And when does Sky come down to give Earth a hug?
Thunderstorm. Tornado. Fog.
So this is roughly where we got to then. It was thought that every day Sky came down to give the Earth a hug. And that's when the sky would disappear. So what time of day would that be? Nighttime. She goes, wait until nighttime, and that's when you're going to attack. Make it good, Braden, so I don't have to attack you.
Did Kronos just keep singing an endless loop of I just can't wait to be
See, look, it didn't make it good. And so with that one, she goes, wait until Uranus comes down, and that's when you're going to jump up and attack. And she makes her, what weapon does she make for him?
Magic scythe.
Magic scythe, made out of adamantium. Adamantium is the strongest metal ever known to exist. That's why it's used for Wolverine, for Sneaky Stickney, which is different than vibranium, for those of you who pay attention to your Wakanda history. Vibranium and adamantium, 2 different, completely made-up, make-believe metals. Pulls out a scythe and gives it to him and says, this is the magical scythe you're going to use. Now, being the fact that he's a god, it's going to be a little hard to kill him. but you should be able to do enough damage to him to at least make him run away. And the goal is to chase him to the edge of the earth. Mr. Bro, there is no edge to the earth. The Greeks believed there was. The Greeks believed the earth was basically a giant plate, and that he was going to be chased to the very edge and made to jump off the edge. Much like Kyrie Irving, they thought that the world was just a big flat thing and you could get to the edge of it. Few people know that Kyrie Irving actually has Greek history to him. It's completely made up. So, he goes ahead and waits until Uranus comes down to give Mother Earth a hug that night. Uranus comes down. As he does, Kronos bing, pops up from behind the mountain. He's like, "Hey, Pops, how you doing?" Uranus is like, "Oh, I'm all right, but why did you just hide behind a mountain like that? You're looking kind of creepy. What's behind your back?" He's like, nothing. Just a sharp, pointy stick." He's like, "You're kind of making him more creepy." He's like, there's a Uranus. Uranus freaks out and takes off running, as you do when your kid pulls out a sharp pointy weapon and just stares at you. Kronos, giggling maniacally, chases after him and jumps after him. As Kronos goes running after him, jumps off the tops of mountains, swinging his side as he does. Every time he swings the side, it chops a huge chunk out of Father Sky. These chunks come falling down to Earth. When these sky chunks hit the Earth, they create new creatures. And these new creatures are going to be popping up in our stories later on. They're going to keep referring to this whole choppy, chunky part. Much like playing a game of Super Mario Brothers, he runs the top, but instead of going up and punching a little square with a question mark in it, he's stabbing his father. Almost the exact same thing. Then choppy, chases his father until he gets him all the way to the very edge of the Earth. Literally, Uranus's feet are on the very edge, nothing but open space behind him. Kronos coming up, going choppy. And right before he gets the final choppy, Uranus goes, "Wait, I have something for you." And Kronos goes, "Is it a present?" Uranus goes, "Yeah, it's a present." He goes, "I love presents." And Uranus goes, "You're going to love this one." And he reaches into his pocket and goes, "I have this for you. It's a curse!" And he throws a curse at Kronos and wiggles his fingers and says, "You are cursed. Because you are my children, and you have overthrown me, you are now cursed that one of your children will overthrow you, and one of their children shall overthrow them, and one of their children shall overthrow." And before he can continue, Kronos goes, "Don't care!" and jumps at him and tries to kill him, and Uranus goes, and jumps off the edge, disappearing forever. Some stories say that he just jumps out into space and disappears and flies away like an astronaut cut loose. He's like, "Oh no," and just goes out forever. Other stories say that he finds a little stalactite and hangs on to the bottom of it, just dangling down below Mother Earth like Luke Skywalker at the end of Empire Strikes Back. Other stories say that he just jumps and goes poof and disappears. Whichever story you go with, once he jumps out, he disappears and is gone forever. Kronos tells no one about this curse. It's just between him and Mother Earth, because it's on Earth, so she heard it happen. But Kronos does not feel the need to tell anybody else. Goes back up to Mount Olympus and says, "I am now the king of all the gods. You must all worship me." And they're like, "Okay, whatever." And he becomes the new king on Mount Olympus. "Mr. Brothers, there's a problem with your story." "What problem with that story? Is perfect." "Did he just kill the sky?" "Yes, he did." Yeah, I know. How did you kill the sky? What's still up there? Sky. Yeah, I know. So we killed Father Sky, and now we have Stepdaddy Sky. And Stepdaddy Sky is now stepped in, which looks just like Old Sky, but we call it a different name. And New Sky is not a person. New Sky is just the sky. And the more you think about it, it's going to cause your brain to bleed and probably come out one of your ears. So just go, makes sense. Because it's probably only going to get worse as we go farther into it. So now Kronos, king of all the gods. Mother Earth immediately reminds him, "Hey, remember? We had an agreement about this whole thing, so you're supposed to go free your brothers." She's like, "Oh yeah, where are they again? How am I supposed to get down there?" And she tells him about this whole path. You take this little cave, you go down to the pit of Tartarus, there's these giant doors, throw open the giant doors, walk in there, and that's how you free him. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I can do that, just like I can ignore Oldham and not answer his question." So down he goes, down this big, long path, goes down into Tartarus, finds this big open area, and he's like, "All right." Big doors, throws them open, walks in this big open area. He's like, "My name is Kronos. I've overthrown Uranus. I am the new king of the gods. And I am here to... and then turns around, throws up, backs away from the edge, and goes... What are those? The other was like, those are your brothers. He's like, we don't look anything alike. They're like, no, those are the ugly babies. He's like, why would you name them that? She's like, I did. Your father did. And he's like, well, why are those other ones stabbing each other? She's like, those are the stabby babies. He's like, you got to work on your names. And he goes, here's the problem. We can't release those up there because they're horrendous. And as they run around, people are just going to throw up all over the place. So we're going to leave them down there. Mother Earth goes, that was not our agreement. He goes, you didn't draw me a picture. So he backs up, shuts the door, puts a giant lock on it, and goes back up to Mount Olympus, brushes off his hands, and goes, we're never talking about that again, and leaves him down there. Mother Earth is irate. So irate she realizes he's not going to call on Sandy either. She realizes there's nothing she can do because she has no arms and she gets really upset. So she decides to bide her time and just wait, and eventually she'll get revenge. Kronos, as new king of the gods, is actually it's going to be in the very bottom when you have to step on it and smash it, Joe. Realizes that he's actually a pretty decent king once he ends up taking over and taking control. One of the first things he ends up doing is he ends up creating his own squad. These three other guys that he ends up hanging out with on a regular basis. These three brothers who all hang out with him. The first is a guy by the name of Prometheus. Prometheus becomes his closest friend and ally. One of the reasons why Prometheus is his closest friend is Prometheus has a superpower that really, really impresses Kronos. One, he's super smart. He'll be the smartest Titan to ever live and or exist. The reason he's so smart is because he has the ability to see the future. He can just sort of rub his temples and be like, no, Sandy's going to have a question. I can see the future. And so that was how strong his abilities were. So he and Kronos would hang out all the time. They would go gambling. They would win lotteries. They would bet on sports games and stuff like that. It was great. Prometheus had a brother who they kept around for funsies. The brother was a guy by the name of Epimetheus. Epimetheus also had a special ability. Epimetheus' special ability was the exact opposite of Prometheus's. So his special ability was... He was super dumb. Now, the problem with Epimetheus being super dumb, it wasn't just that he was dumb, it's that his name actually means afterthought. He could not see into the future. Prometheus could see the future, Epimetheus could not see the future, and that's what made him dumb. Mr. Brovi, I can't see the future. Well, you can't. If I can't see the future, does that make me dumb? No. You guys are dumb for other reasons. Because partly you have to realize you can see the future. You just don't realize you can see the future. If you're not sure if you have the ability, there's an easy science experiment you can do. Go home today from school, find your stove in your kitchen, and you're going to turn on the stove top, the little burners up there. Wait until you see it get red. Take your right hand, slap it down on the red, count to 3, remove hand. Now, predict what's going to happen when you slap left hand down. There's a good chance before a hand even makes contact, as the tears are coming down your face, you're going to be like, I don't want to lose that hand too, because that's called seeing the future. Before you even slap it down, you're like, yeah, that's going to be a bad idea. That's seeing the future. Epimetheus did not have that ability. For Epimetheus, the game was slap. No, God, that hurts. Ooh. No, what? Ooh. And it would just keep on going over and over again, not seeing the future. Naturally, Kronos kept him around because Epimetheus was hilarious. He's like, Epimetheus, run into that wall. Okay. Do it again. All right, we got an hour. And so they just sit there and watch it over and over again. Epimetheus was special and fun. He also plays a big role later on. They had a third brother, a guy by the name of Atlas, who also hung out with him. Atlas also had a superpower. Not super smart, not super dumb. Atlas was super strong. He was the strongest god to ever exist. So strong that eventually there's a big war that breaks out, and Atlas becomes the general of Kronos' army. when this big war breaks out, all because of the fact that he is so strong and others follow him. Atlas spent most of his time just running around yelling, "Atlas, smash!" and like smashing like puny god, and flipping him back and forth and fun stuff like that. Kronos now is king of all of the gods. One of the first things he decides to do is he has some rage issues. And oftentimes whenever he got upset, he would sort of rage and thrash out at other titans. And they'd get mad and sort of yell back at him. So he realizes he has to solve this problem. So he goes and talks to Prometheus. He goes, "Hey, I keep having issues where I get all ragey and yelling. It doesn't seem to be going very well. So what can I do to solve this?" Prometheus goes, "Why don't we create you a group of really small titans that you can go and just smash whenever you want to get your anger out?" Kronos goes, "You can do that?" Prometheus goes, "Yeah, I'll create a bunch of really small ones." And so Prometheus creates the first race of humans. He goes down to Earth and uses water and dirt and combines it together. And when you put water and dirt together, you get
Water.
mud. The very first humans were just made out of mud. He squished out mud, sprinkled some magic dust on it, and the little mud people came to life like Pinocchio. "I'm a real boy." And they would dance around. Prometheus makes a whole race of these people, and they get to run around on Earth. And he goes, "Kronos, if you get really angry, you just go down to Earth, find a person, and go, splat." Kronos does it, splats one, and goes, "Oh, that was wonderful," and loves it. So the first race of humans essentially existed just to entertain Kronos when he got really mad. The good news is he was also a pretty good god for all of the humans. He was actually called the Golden Age of Mankind because, one, we'd only invented men at this point. Women were not made because they were only coming up with the little boy people as they went through and did it. Two, there were no diseases. Three, there was no wars. Four, there was no evil invented. You already said that with no women. Ouch, that hurts. And so because of that, it was also always summertime. Winter had not been invented. So it was always nice out, it was always summer, and the guys just got to run around until a god showed up like, "Hey you, what?" Like, "Oh, he's gone." And so things went pretty well. Till one day, Kronos and his wife are hanging out when his wife, a girl by the name of Rhea, goes, "Hey hon." He goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm meaning to tell you, I'm pregnant." And Kronos goes, "Oh, that's good to hear." Because it realizes now his greatest fear is going to come true. And what is Kronos' greatest fear? Being overthrown by a child. He had never told his wife about the whole curse thing because he didn't think she really needed to know. So he was the only one that knew about it. So when she says that she's pregnant, he refuses to tell her that's a bad thing. She goes, "Oh, you are? That's wonderful. I'm so glad you told me." But he realizes now he has a problem because he can't let this baby live for fear of being overthrown. So he decides he's going to solve this baby problem. Now, I know your first thought is, if you know this baby is going to overthrow you, what should you do to the baby? Stab the baby. That's how we solve all our problems. Stabbing babies. Why can we not stab this baby? Because it's immortal. Now, the other thing comes up, Mr. Brody, can you just throw it into the pit of Tartarus? He could throw it into the pit of Tartarus. The problem with throwing it into the pit of Tartarus...
Lock the door.
Throwing it into the pit of Tartarus is that he always has to worry about this baby escaping. And if it's in the pit of Tartarus, there's every chance this baby could get out and then come back to overthrow him. And he can't kill it, can't throw it in the pit of Tartarus. Like, where can I keep this baby so this baby will never be able to overthrow me without me knowing that it's coming? And he spends all of Rhea's pregnancy trying to think this one through. Until eventually he comes up with a genius idea. Waits until the day Rhea gives birth. And she gives birth to a little baby Hera. And she brings in little baby Hera. It's like, "Oh, it's an adorable little girl. Look, Gucci, Gucci, goo." And she brings it into Kronos. She's like, "Oh, yeah, let me see that baby. It's an adorable one." And he picks up the baby, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to try and overthrow me someday, huh? Well, we're going to see about that." And he's like, "Yeah, I love the baby. It's a great one." He's like, "Ooh, it's got that new baby smell. It kind of tickles the nose. It kind of see like, what?" It's my. And he swallows the baby. Rhea freaks out. She's like, you just swallowed our baby. He's like, I was sniffing it and I sneezed. It went in my mouth. I want to choke. I mean, come on, care about me. He was like, I didn't mean to swallow. He's like, I'm sorry. It's safe though. It's okay. She's like, that's my baby. He swallows the baby. Rhea freaks out. Kronos realizes he's a genius. He now has this baby in a safe place and doesn't have to worry about the baby being able to overthrow him. Of course, this does not go over very well with Rhea. And there, we're going to stop with him eating our first baby. Next week, on Monday, where do we go? Computer Lab. And then you guys will have me on Monday, and then you will not see me Tuesday. See me again Wednesday, and then we'll get to continue our story probably on Thursday. Bring your book report stuff to work on next week. Let's hope this phone does well for uploading of things. Toodles.